good Sunday afternoon, my good people. Hope you guys are doing well today. It's a beautiful day, man. I say that every week because I want you to go out and enjoy um, the beauty in the day. Like we are so homebodies or something. Like we really need to go out and make sure that we are capitalizing on the beauty of the day. Because you know what? There is no such thing as tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. So you have to go out and maximize today. So I want you to do that. I want you to make sure that you go out and get some sunshine. Anyway, welcome guys to the show. For those of you that are here, I appreciate you so much. And thank you for joining me. I have been excited all day. Don't even know why, but I've just been like totally over the top all day today. And I am just appreciative of life. And I hope that you can say the same thing. I really do. Life is amazing. And I am learning that you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. And the bad with the good, and life is still amazing because it's all a growing thing. We have been talking about our SFC team. Hey, everybody, the SFC team, we got some good things that we're going to share with you over the next couple of weeks. Some good things that we are just putting together to bring us together and just really enjoy. It's time for us to live. I want you guys to live and enjoy life. The excitement that I feel, I wish it on everybody because life is so truly amazing. Even in difficult times, life can still be as beautiful as you want it to be. So that's what I'm hoping that you're going to do. You're going to capitalize on this thing called life. That's what it's all about. But listen, we are talking about what are you looking for as our series this month for the month of June. And can you believe that June is almost over with? Like we're going into the third week of June already. But we've been talking about that. You guys haven't had a lot of time to interact with me as it relates to this particular series. So I really want you to do that today. I really want you to just sit back because the reason I chose this topic is for several reasons. One of the things that I think I shared with you when we first started this topic is that you only see what you're looking for. I read that and it sort of kind of resonated so profoundly within me that oftentimes our day-to-day activity is driven only by our perception. And our perception is driven by how we grew up, the kind of environment that we're used to, what we know to be real or unreal, truth or false. So that's what has driven this whole series about what are you looking for, because we tend to get or tend to see only what we are looking for. So if you are looking at life through negative lenses, then you're going to see negativity in life. If you are looking at it through positive lenses, then of course you're going to get the positive out of life. The reality is, whatever you throw out there, whatever you see, you're going to get back. And we need to change that. We need to change our perception of things so that we can look at life in a completely different way. Because if you don't ever change the way you look at things, the way things look at you won't ever change. So I want to slow down my pace a little bit, and I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? First of all, in just the statement that I made, you only see what you're looking for. Give me your responses off of that alone. Let's talk about that for a minute because I think it's so important for us to understand that, 10 people can be looking at one situation and there will be 10 completely different responses to the same situation or the same set of circumstances. Why? Because we see it not for how it is, but for how we are. And our perception about ourselves, about life, about the situation determines exactly what our reaction or response is to that situation. So based off of that alone, let me hear what you got to say about it. What do you think about it? I know y'all ain't had a chance to talk in the last couple of weeks that much, so y'all owe me some conversation. So I need y'all to come on and talk. Denise and Benny, I know y'all's little mind I know y'all are turning, so I need to hear what you're thinking today as it relates to how we only see what we're looking for. Um, I was riding. I had to be in Raleigh yesterday, and I was riding um, up the highway. Well, actually, let me go back because it started in the restaurant yesterday. So I was seated, and in the restaurant, I was like, "Well, can I move a couple of tables back towards the back? That's what I want to do." And she was like, "Well, no, the person is not here that works that table, and they're on the way in. So in order for you to get served quick, okay, no harm, no foul." Um, no harm, no foul. So a few minutes later, time gone by, whomever was supposed to be at the table in the back was there, taking orders. People got their drink, and I'm still waiting. Well, a little guy that was supposed to have been my server was still walking back and forth and never acknowledged me. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm invisible. I'm like, I'm 6'3". How do you not see me? So when I got the hostess' attention to tell her that I hadn't been served yet, went through all of that. So fast forward to on my way back home, literally like three or four cars kept pulling out in front of me, like, and the whole time I'm like, am I invisible? Like, are y'all seeing me? What is it about me that makes me invisible? I got a whole car right here, just like you have. Why don't you see me? So anyway, ironically enough, this morning, let me see if I can find out who it was. But ironically enough, this morning I was listening to this podcast about a young man, and the thing was how our perception drives what our responses or our reactions are. So, in essence, it was talking about the reason why I felt invisible to the wait staff at the restaurant or to the other drivers on the interstate was because there's something that's been embedded in me that started a long time ago. And what is it, that feeling of not being noticed? Where did it come from? How did it all originate? And so it was my perception that created the whole reality that I am invisible. Like, so again, it just sort of kind of ties in. Denise says you only react and do things based off of how you feel. This is true, but what is causing that feeling and what is causing that emotion? Because if we don't get to the core of what's causing that emotion, we're going to always react on how we feel. We're going to always react on whether or not we think somebody's done something to us or whatever. So, yeah, you're right. But what we got to get to the bottom of what creates that feeling of or that emotion of. That's one of the things. Catherine says, I've been trying to change my perspective in life for a while now, but at times I feel like I am not going in the right direction. How do I know that I'm going in the right direction? Um, in order to go into the right direction, you have to change the way you're thinking. That's the only way. Because if you do the same thing that you've always done with the same thoughts that you've always thought, then it's hard to change your perception. So, in order for you to change the reality that you want to see on the outside, something, Catherine, has to change on the inside. And it always starts with a single thought. You change the way you think. The way you think is what drives your perception of things. And, for example, you can't always think that you're the victim of and then say, I'm trying to change my perception. Okay. Thinking that you are a victor instead of a victim will automatically change your perception. So it starts with the renewing of the mind and changing of thoughts. Denise says sometimes your environment will dictate your reaction to things, negative or positive. Absolutely. But Denise, believe it or not, that is a choice. We are not creators of, let me see how I can say it because I read in the book. Our environment don't create us. We actually create the environment that we live in based off of how we see things, how we think about things. So you can't, I used to hear that all the time, Denise, when I was teaching school. And these kids who would automatically assume that they grew up in the projects, that they didn't have a chance in life, or they didn't have a chance like somebody else's. And so they would say that they're a product of their environment. I do not agree with that at all. I don't think that our environment has the power to determine how we react or respond to life unless we give it the authority to do so. I honestly believe that we have the power to shift our environment, and the way we shift our environment is the mind. My thing is, if there is one person in the history of mankind that lived in the projects and came out of the projects to be what we know in society as successful, then if it happens to one man, it can happen to any man. If it happened for one woman, it can happen to any woman. That's just my mindset and train of thought when it comes to that. I don't think that we are ever a product of our environment unless we absolutely choose that trajectory and become a product of our environment by choice. Okay. And please, 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 please let me know if you think anything differently, because I totally want to know your thoughts. I want to get your feedback, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm giving you what I have known and read and have come to realize that, one kid getting out of the projects to become a doctor or a lawyer or a president or whatever opens the door for any and every kid to have that same outcome. But you have to make a choice. So, nothing is so super special about the kid that made it out of the thing, other than he just knew that the projects wasn't for him, or that particular lifestyle wasn't for him. So he wanted better. He did what it took to get better, and therefore he was able to make it out of his environment. Okay. Let's see. Benny says, what we focus on comes to us. That's it. Where energy goes, manifestation flows. Absolutely. That is why we must keep our thoughts life in check. We must keep our thought life in check, because what you focus on is what you create. That becomes your reality. Sonia says, or it could have been because you are used to being noticed. Also, Corey, since you're a pastor, maybe. No, I don't know about that, Sonia. Being noticed isn't my thing. Like, I'm a background person. I do what I have to do because that's what I have to do. But being noticed, I think it just comes back from years and years ago. And, it is what it is. The 11th child out of 11, everybody fit in. I grew up with nieces and nephews, and it was them as it could be a plethora of things, but yeah, being noticed as a pastor, nah, I don't know about that one, but thank you, I appreciate it. I don't know about that one, but thank you. I do appreciate that, though, for trying to bring it out. That's a good thing. But one of the things that I want you to think about is how many times have you been in a conversation with somebody and you point out something that's happening around you, and you get completely thrown out of sync because of what you saw. I don't know, like somebody arguing, and you be like, "Look at them! I wouldn't let them dare be up in my face." Nobody ever goes back to the root of what causes it. So if you see, and if you have a negative mindset, and you think it's that negative mindset, and you say, I'm always for the negative. I'm always thinking negative. But then that person that you're with say, no, I don't agree with that. Like, that could be like, he could have lost his best friend. That's what could have set him off. Somebody could have said, it's all about our perception. Same situation, same set of circumstances, but we all have a different response, because what we see is exactly what we look for, and what we look for is what you'll see. Denise says your emotions or feelings can be based on many things. Absolutely. Your mind can be responding to hidden feelings. Absolutely. Current events. Absolutely. Which is causing you to react positive or negative. Yes. However, the way you control your feelings or emotions is what will make your day good or bad. Well said. Absolutely. The way you control, and the reality is, Denise, and everybody, the reality is You should always be in control. You should never give anybody the power over you to determine whether or not you're going to have a good day or a bad day. Ever. Yeah, you are never out of having the choice of being in control. I'll say that probably a little better way. You always get to choose as to whether or not you're going to give up power or activate the power. The reality is when we say, I'm having a bad day because she, or because he, or because it, you're having a bad day because that's what you choose to have. I'm having a great day because I just won this and I just got this. No, you choose to have that. So it's all about the choice and activating the power that we have within to determine what our emotions and or feelings are going to look like. We have that power. We have that right. We have that authority. Very few of us operate in the power that we have because we would rather blame somebody else. We would rather give a power and authority to somebody else. Imagine what your day would look like if you simply disregarded everything and everybody and you set the intention, today is going to be the best day of my life. Imagine what your day would look like if you determined before you ever had any type of involvement, engagement, conversation with anybody that today is going to be the best day. I'm not going to let anybody irritate me. I'm not going to let anybody frustrate me. I'm not going to let anybody talk about me to the point that it upsets me. Today is going to be my day. Imagine. That's the authority that you have. That's the power as an individual that you have been given by divine right. That is your power. So it ain't about nobody else. It's all about you. Let's see. Denise says, yes, I agree that your environment don't control your destiny. Only you have the power to control your choices. What your choices will be. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. The question that you asked at the end of church about being disconnected from God, does that relate to the question that I asked moments ago? That I can't decide that for you. I really can't decide that for you. Only you can answer whether you're connected or disconnected. We're talking about your perception and your thinking. If you perceive that your thoughts and everything about you, Catherine, is gearing you towards God, then I cannot say that you're disconnected. If your thoughts and your perceptions of those thoughts are gearing you away from God, then only you can determine that. But what we're talking about is developing that state of mind to where you change your thoughts, which in turn changes your perception, which in turn can change your life. That's where we are. That's what we're talking about. And it's all happening right here. Because again, if you only see or we only see what we're looking for, then we need to make sure we're seeing positive. We need to make sure that we're seeing good. Because even on a bad day, there's a lot of positivity. Even in a bad situation, we can take something good out of it because it is sent to grow us. It is sent to groom us, to develop us. Talking about the power that we have, we get to decide on whether or not a bad situation is a bad situation. We get to choose that. I don't care how many folk you have co-sign on your frustrations, your cussing, your fussing, your whatever. You get to decide on whether or not a bad situation is a bad situation. You get to decide that. I can tell you all day it's a bad situation, but in your mind, if you say, no, this situation is not bad. I know it looks bad, but it's really not bad because it's growing me. It's really not bad because it's developing me. It's really not bad because it's maturing me. Then that's the power that we have. That's the power that we need to walk in. And that changes your perception when you activate that power. And the only way that your reality will ever change is at first your thoughts and your perceptions about your reality changes. Okay? The reason why we keep getting the same thing and experiencing the same experiences is because we still look out of the same eyes through life. We look at life through the same same set of eyes. We don't ever change the way we think. I think I shared with you sometime before. We think, according to neuroscientists, we think about 65,000 thoughts a day, 65,000 thoughts in one 24-hour period. And 95% of those 60,000 thoughts are the same thoughts that we had the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that, which means that if you don't ever walk into power and authority to change your thoughts, which changes your perception, you're going to always have the same life experience. You're going to always have the same reality. You're going to always be a victim instead of a victor. So you've got to change the way you think. You have to. That's the only way that you're going to change your reality is by changing the way you think, changing your perception of life, and see life for this beautiful, positive, amazing journey that it is. Benny says, I set the intention each morning through tools of meditation, prayer, and spoken affirmations. From that point forward, it's up to me each moment of the day to make the choice of how to respond to constantly changing environments. Absolutely. The environments change. Doesn't mean that you have to. You can stay the same. It's always positive. Even on a bad day, there's something good out of it. Again, just remember that if you want to change your situation, you have to change the way you think. The reason why you keep feeling like it's Groundhog Day, remember that movie? And every day you kept waking up is the same, because you have the same thoughts and you have the same perception. Spoken positive and keeping faith even when I can't see it. Yeah, I believe in speaking positive. Yes, Sonia. And keeping the faith even when you can't see it. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. It's about that. You can't speak positive without thinking positive. So you have to, before the positive things can come out of your mouth, there has to be a positive thought. You just need to make sure that you stay consistent with those. Because whatever you give your attention to, that's what's going to manifest in your life. Denise says, I am a person that grew up in the projects, which came along with a lot of negative environments, which caused me to have low self-esteem and a lack of confidence. However, today, I can testify that my environment did not break me, but made me stronger and successful person today. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And because you did that, you got rid of any and everybody's excuse not to do that. Because you did not allow your environment to define you. When you hear a kid or another person say, this is why I'm living on the streets because I grew up in the projects. This is why I don't have nothing. I'm only making minimum wage because I grew up in the projects. Absolutely not. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It's all about the choices that you made. Because you chose not to allow the projects to define you. They didn't have the power or authority to do so. Now you can look back and say, that's how I used to be. This is where I came from, not this is where I am. This is not, I remember when I was teaching school, I had kids that were growing up in the projects at the time. At this time I was teaching middle school, I think. I was in Rocky Mount. And I remember asking the question to my group of eighth graders, which was predominantly a classroom full of lower income African American kids. And so I was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that was a very dumb question on my part. I was a new teacher, so I didn't know any better in my defense. I was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we're going to do a whole lesson centered around what you want to be. Had planned to do all of this bulletin board with the kids, just to use that as a vision board for them, and just to use it as a means to keep them focused and know. So I went around the room. I got to this little girl, and she was like, I want to have a baby so I can stay at home and draw a check like my mama. That was her aspiration. That was her aspiration. And so I had to sit down for a minute and think, no, that is not what life is about. That is not how life is supposed to be lived. You don't aspire to get pregnant just so that you can draw a check. Aspire to get pregnant, but aspire to have a child that's going to be this and that because you're this and that. So it's all about how we embrace how we see things. Because if that's what this little girl was looking for, guess what? That's what she's going to see, unfortunately. But if you only see what you're looking for, then I can only imagine that that's how her life turned out, unless she had a change of thought. And with a change of thought, she changed her perception. So she started looking for something very differently. So that's my challenge to you as I close out today. That is my challenge to you. I need you to change your mindset, change the way you are looking at life, and develop a new perception. You cannot get a new perception if you keep old thoughts. Your thoughts have to be renewed. They have to be renewed in order. You remember Romans said, be transformed by the renewing of your thinking or your thoughts or your mind. You got to have new thoughts in order for you to have a new perception, in order for you to have new experiences. So my challenge to you is to work on the way you think. Every morning, you do like Benny, set an intention for that day. And today is going to be my day. Today is going to be amazing. I'm not going to be moved. I'm not going to be bothered. I'm not going to get frustrated. I'm not going to be worried. I'm not going to be fearful. My day is going to be just that. It's my day. I'm taking the authority back. I'm taking my power back. And I get to decide what kind of day I'm going to have. And I decide that I am going to have the best day of my life. Denise says, amen. That is way loud at five is so important to me, to help other people, to encourage to succeed no matter what you see now. Just know it's something better. Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, you guys, I love y'all so much. I appreciate you guys so very much. I do. You guys teach me so much, and I can only impart a little bit of wisdom and knowledge that I've been given to you, with the hopes that we can each one reach one. We're going to transform this world one person at a time. If we can just get people to stop being so negative and start thinking positive, we can change the world. And that is the whole mission of SFC Defined. We are going to teach people how to define themselves without the validation of other people, without the need of validation from other people. So, guys, thank you. Thank you so much for my faithful ones, for the input that you guys did. Thank you for all of that. Thank you so much for engaging in conversation with me. I really do appreciate you more than you know. Again, we got some great things coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to tell you all about it. I can't wait, because I know that you're going to get excited about it as I am. So until next Sunday, you guys stay safe. Plan to do something for the men in your life that are fathers or that are father figures, okay? Make them feel as special as they made you feel on Mother's Day weekend, all right? That's what's coming up. Father's Day weekend is coming up. So plan to do that and make the man in your life that he's your father or father figure, make them feel special. All right. Talk to you guys next week. Have a wonderful week intentionally. Be courageous enough to take your power back. Talk to you soon.